copper conducts electricity better than any other element, which means that it is now the new oil, and it's going to provide you with your energy.
Jeff, I think the million-dollar question is, do you prefer, commodities such as iron ore, or do you want commodities such as copper that are really essential also for the decarbonization of our societies?
Well, we would argue, obviously, copper is the one you want to own. We like to say copper is the new oil. It's the strategically most important commodity because if you're going to electrify the world, copper conducts electricity better than any other element, which means that it is now the new oil, and it's going to provide you with your energy. However, I want to go back to iron ore and what's going on there. Because remember I said before that commodities depend upon the level of demand, not the growth rate. And part of the reason for that, to be bullish in commodity, it's the level of demand versus the level of supply. When the level of demand is above the level of supply, you're bullish. The growth rate on steel demand in China is down. Let me repeat that, down 7%. The reason why it's bullish is that because of issues around emissions, they have cut supply such that demand is down, but supply is down more, which has created that bullish dynamic. So this is one of those inflationary impacts of dealing with decarbonization.
But Jeffrey, if you look at the copper market, what's already priced in? So if this is the thing that's needed, right, the new oil, is the market prepared for that, or is there going to be a shortage?
Absolutely not. It's sleepwalking into this, kind of like oil did in the 2000s. In fact, the setup here for copper in this super cycle environment is almost identical to that for oil in, let's say, 2002. We've seen a sharp rise in prices, yet there is no green capex, no maintenance capex. People are not concerned about the future. And I think part of that is because when we look at the current management in many of these commodity companies, what do they remember is that their predecessors were focused on growth. And doing that, they had too much supply going into that downturn in 2016 and got crushed. This group is focused on return to shareholders, a return on equity. And as a result, we're not seeing, whether if it's in oil, copper, or whatever these different markets, or even in grains, we're not seeing a supply response to these higher prices. It's even the case for shale in the US. So are they prepared? Absolutely not. And we start to look out 5, 7 years, the deficit becomes unprecedented. It becomes on a market, 8 million ton deficit, which means you're going to have to increase scrap. You're going to have to do substitution away into like aluminum and other types of metals that can conduct electricity. And you're going to have to scrape to the bottom of barrel of mining to be able to increase supply. The difference between copper today and oil, let's say 2 decades ago, at least in oil, we knew shale was out there. Prices just had to get high enough to do it. In copper, there is no shale. We don't know of any type of technology that can solve this problem.